Hi, everybody. I'm Fran Spielman, and with me is Alderman Anthony Beale. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, you've been alderman since 1999, Corliss High School, Blackburn College for a while. You're chairman of the Transportation Committee. You ran for Congress in 2013. And you love baseball. How did that happen?
Well, I mean, that was my pastime as a kid. We grew up, that was just a thing we did in the community. Everybody played baseball. And as I got older, baseball has kind of been falling off, especially in the African-American community. And one of the things that I found out that growing up, whenever we played outside our community, everybody had wonderful facilities. Everybody had great amenities, and we would come back and we were playing on basically dirt. And so I figured, once I got into a position to make a difference, the first thing I did was build a state-of-the-art baseball field on 125th in Michigan. And then we doubled down and built another 2 behind Gwendolyn Brooks High School. And now I have the largest indoor sports facility in the state. So, I'm hoping that we can turn around sports on the South Side and in Chicago. But it's just not a sports complex. It's also a complex that we're providing ACT and SAT training free for anybody who's enrolled in the program. So we're trying to produce smart athletes now on the far South Side of Chicago.
And that's your field of dreams. How's it doing?
It's doing well. It's summertime now. Most people are going outside now. But we had a great fall, a great winter, and we're looking forward to a great fall coming up. So we're really excited about it. It's a lot of energy, and a lot of people are excited about it, and people coming from all across the city, and they're coming from Wisconsin, they're coming from Indiana. We had our first indoor Little League indoor tournament over the winter for 10 and under and 12 and under, and it was packed. People were coming from all over the place, because where do we play baseball in the wintertime? We don't have any place to go. But this is an opportunity to where we can now play indoor baseball in the winter.
And before we get into politics, did you really drive a John Deere tractor to mow the lawn?
I do every Sunday. Every Sunday, I'm out there on a John Deere tractor, cutting the grass, manicuring the lawns on both the baseball fields. Absolutely.
Well, good for you. Is it fun?
It is. It's therapeutic.
Oh, okay. Well, so Mayor-elect Lightfoot spent much of this week in Washington, 3 days, developing contacts there. Meanwhile, back home, what's happening with organizing the city council?
Well, I can honestly tell you that we're trying to organize ourselves because that's how the council was designed to do. It was designed that we organize ourselves and we pick our own chairman and vice chairman and committees and things like that. And if that's how the city council has been structured, I think it's about time that we finally start doing it ourselves.
So you're not waiting to hear who she's comfortable with? Well,
we're trying to work with the administration. It's no doubt. We are trying to work with the administration because it's to the best interest of everybody, the city, the aldermen, and the administration, that we all work together. So we're trying to work together to come up with compromise on these chairmanships.
So who is your lineup? Who's your finance chair?
Well, right now, I think the front runner for finance chair will be Alderman Tunney. Tunney has great relationships throughout the council. He has a great temperament as far as trying to get along and bring people together, and I think he'd be a great choice to be finance chair.
Does he have the votes?
Well, we're lining the votes up for him. We're all working together, and I just want to make
Who's we?
Well, I'm working with Alderman Tunney, and I'm working with Alderman Villegas and Alderman Raboyes on the Latino side, and me, Alderman Austin, and Michelle Harris are all working together, and of course Tunney is working the other side of the aisle. So I think it's a collective effort of we're all trying to come together, work together, so we can move the city forward. And I think it's in the best interest of the city and the council that we structure it and organize together.
So in your lineup, you have Tunney as finance chairman, budget chairman is Austin, right?
We're looking to retain Alderman Austin as budget chair, absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, she has the knowledge, and we have to understand, when you have new administration, you have to have some institutional knowledge in place. You don't want to just throw everything out. You have to have some people in place who know the lay of the land, who know how to get things done, who know how to operate. And I think it's in the best interest of the administration that, we all work together and keep some of that institutional knowledge in order to move the city forward, because we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. And if these challenges are not met, then we don't want to fall into a situation where we have a gridlock like they had in Springfield.
So what's the rest of your lineup? What would you get?
Well, I don't want to give you the entire lineup that
you
we're
would
looking at.
get workforce development?
Well, I'm looking at workforce development, and so I think that's a good fit for me. I think I have a great temperament. I think I have a good level of respect amongst my colleagues in the city council, and I can bring people together, and so that's what we're trying to do.
You're looking also to be floor leader.
Well, it's up for grabs that I am looking to be floor leader, because again, I think that
Why you as floor leader?
Well, why not me? If you look at it from that standpoint, why not me? I think I do have the ability to bring everyone together, and I have a great level of respect from everyone in the city council, and I think that they trust my judgment.
And the zoning committee.
Well, all those other ones are still up for grabs. We're still trying to sort it out.
But
And again,
who's your front runner for
well,
zoning?
I don't want to put the cart before the horse, and I don't want to put out who's looking to get what, because there's still some maneuvering, and there's some things where I thought people would be a good fit, and they said no, that's not a good fit for me, and so we have to kind of balance it out as far as what people feel they're comfortable with. But the bottom line is we need to get to 31 to 33 votes for this administration, and that's what we're trying to do. If we don't get to 31 to 33 votes for the administration, then we can have problems later on down the road, and we're trying to prevent that.
Why do you say 31 to 33? Because 26, of course, is the majority.
Right.
But what's the cushion needed?
Well,
for?
you always need a cushion, because you never know what someone's politics is, where they may have to take a pass on a vote or two, and so you have to give yourself a little bit of a buffer. Because someone may not be able to vote on certain things because of some interest in their community. So you have to give yourself a little bit of a buffer in order to move forward, and that's what we're trying to do for this administration. Now,
in the zoning chair, Kappelman was kind of a nervous Nelly when he filled in for Solis. Is he capable of keeping it on a long-term basis?
Well, I don't see Kappelman leading the zoning committee, because again, sometimes people have tough times dealing with tough decisions. And I think the committee kind of overwhelmed him, because you're looking at someone who never had a committee and being thrown into zoning. And I think that was unfair for him to be thrown into that particular hot seat at that particular time when he's never governed a committee. He's not having a chairmanship. And that's, zoning is the fourth biggest committee in the city, and there's a lot of contentious things come through that committee. And to throw him into that fire, I didn't think it did him any service to throw him into that particular situation.
So you need someone with a real backbone, and you also need someone with a lot of knowledge.
You need knowledge and you need backbone.
And who is that? There's not too many people around.
There's a few. All
right, go ahead, name a few.
Well, again, I don't want to get into being
committing,
baited to.
You're not committing, but name a few people who could.
There are a few people. Actually, Alderman Tunney can handle zoning. Alderman Burnett can handle zoning. Alderman Raboyes can handle zoning. Alderman Brookins can handle zoning. Alderman Sawyers can handle zoning. So you can go down and find a list of a lot of people who can handle zoning. So there are a lot of talented people in the city council. So I don't want to minimize people who have the ability to handle a tough committee. But again, typically in the city, you start off with a smaller committee, so you get the lay of the land and you know how to govern. And then as time goes, you kind of move up, because you get familiar with how a committee is supposed to be ran and how it's to be structured. You don't go from not having a committee to one of the top 3 or 4 in the city council, because now you're doing yourself a disservice, because you don't know how to handle the lay of the land, and that's where your experience and your knowledge comes in. So you have to have people that have institutional knowledge, who know how to get things done, who knows how to maneuver a committee. And so, so we have to look at all of those things. So what happens if Mayor Lightfoot says, I want Scott Waggis back? What happens with that? Well, I think if you look at, a position such as that, I think you're headed down the wrong path, because you're looking at someone who has not worked with the city council at all, who does not have any relationships with people in the city council at all, and someone who has never had a committee. And so in order to handle big committees, you have to have relationships. You have to have the right temperament to get along with people, to work with people, and know how to give and take with people. And based on my tenure in the city council, I just don't get that from Alderman Waggisback. He says he's 1 vote away. Well, he's still 1 vote away from 26. Well, do you believe that if Mayor Lightfoot says, I want him, wouldn't he get over the top? Absolutely not. No. Absolutely. So, in other words, the aldermen are ready to defy her if her choice is Waggisback. Again, it is our job to organize ourselves. That is the job of the city council. We are to work with the administration on how we can govern the city council. And so, I mean, we want to work with the administration, but at the same time, we don't want to blow up the city council for one person who has no relationships and knows, I mean, you're coming in, okay, with all due respect, she's coming in. We've worked with him over the past few years, and we know what we're getting. I don't think
what you're getting is what?
Is someone who doesn't work well with others in the sandbox.
Well, but he says, I'm just a guy who wants to make deals better for the taxpayers. I'm not personal about it. I'm not being a jerk about it. I'm just someone who prods and pushes to get things better. And I might be a pain that way, but I'm not being personal and nasty about it. So why is he someone you can't swallow?
That is his personal opinion. But what people say and what people do are two different things. Actions speak louder than words, and over the years his actions have shown that he does not work well with others.
So if she insists on this, she is bucking for a fight.
Well, I can only speak for myself that if, and I'm hoping that this is not true, but if she were to say that she wants Wagensback to be her finance chair, I would not vote for Wagensback.
And would he have the votes?
Well, again, if he's at 25 and he doesn't get my vote, then he's still one short away from getting to 26.
And if she were to dump Kerry Austin as budget chairman, would that be a mistake?
I would not support that at all.
Why not?
Because you have someone who has institutional knowledge, who knows how to run a committee. She's passed several budgets for several administrations. She knows how to get things done, and I think she could be an asset to the administration.
And she has said, I'll be as loyal to her as I was to Rahm Emanuel and to Richard M. Daley. And I'm sorry for what Rush said, or she didn't say sorry, but she said she couldn't get off the stage fast enough. When Bobby Rush said that anyone who voted for Lori Lightfoot would have blood on their hands. Do you think Lori Lightfoot holds a grudge for that? Should she?
Well, no. I mean, look, in this game, we all run campaigns, and there's a lot of mud that gets slung through campaigns. With a comment like that, I think the congressman was out of order with that particular comment. I think that is outside the realm of politics, and that was a hit way below the belt, and I think he owes the mayor-elect an apology. Right,
but shouldn't the people on the stage with him at that day should have either run off the stage or said, I disassociate myself with these
well, there should have been
hateful remarks?
There should have been some statements sent out immediately.
And there weren't.
And well, again, I'm just telling you what I would have done.
Right, that was a mistake.
Because a lot of times you're on stage and people say things that you don't agree with, so you have to send statements out to let the public know that that statement is not a reflection on my views and how I feel and govern.
But that was a mistake she made in not doing that. But should Lori Lightfoot say, well, water under the dam, I'm going on?
Absolutely. This is, we've all been in campaigns that get nasty. Once it's over, if apologies need to be presented, then people need to apologize. But in this game, there are no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. It's just permanent interest. And the interest is to move the city forward. We have huge challenges ahead of us. We have huge budget deficits. We have pensions. We have police and fire contracts. We have CTU contracts. We have all these things. And it's going to take a strong city council to work with the administration to get past these hurdles.
You're not looking for a fight,
Nobody's
but you're saying
looking
if
for a
she
fight.
picks this fight, she might lose it?
Well, again, I'm just telling you from my standpoint, I would not vote for Wagensback.
Okay, now on aldermanic prerogative, she's going to push that as well. She's going to come out with an executive order that somehow orders her departments not to make aldermen the final say-so. What happens if she picks that fight?
Well, again,
and
there is no written rule about automatic prerogative.
Right.
That is just something that we have a courtesy amongst ourselves, because I don't want someone telling me what to do in my ward, and I'm not going to tell somebody else to do what's in their ward. And so that is a common courtesy that we have amongst ourselves. I think that would be a mistake to do anything as far as it relates to automatic prerogative. These commissioners have to be confirmed. And if I hear a commissioner saying that they're not going to listen to the alderman, then again, they're not going to get my vote for confirmation.
Right, but how do you avoid having an alderman have the final say-so on every little thing? Aren't there things that really should be administrative? Well, signs, driveway permits,
well,
things,
no, not
block
necessarily.
parties.
Well, look, you cannot govern personalities and wrongdoing. And I think that's what people are in the press are looking at now, because some people have gotten in trouble because of some of the rules and regulations. You cannot govern someone that's going to do wrong. We have laws on the books against murder. Okay, people are still murdering. So the rules are on the books already. So if someone wants to do something illegal, they're going to do it. All right, so you can't govern that. But what you have to do is, you just have to have the right people in place to do the right thing. And so hopefully people understand that, you can't do certain things. You can't strong arm people. You can't hold things up because, you're trying to squeeze nickels and dimes out of people. That's not good government. But you can't not put rules in place to govern bad.
So you're saying if she bucks this fight, if she tries to push aldermanic prerogative, then what's going to happen?
Well, again, there's no rule to buck aldermanic prerogative. So
she can say to her department heads, aldermen are no longer to be the final say on zoning, on all these other things.
How do you get it passed?
Well, she could do it.
You still need 26 votes.
She could do it by executive order and order her department heads.
You need any zoning change, you need 26 votes. You cannot have an executive order to override automatic, 26 votes. And any type of legislation needs 26 votes.
But how do you argue that this has not been, it has been at the heart of every single aldermanic conviction? It's at the heart of the Burke scandal where he held up a driveway permit because he was trying to shake down, allegedly, Burger King for legal business for his firm. How do you not recognize that something needs to be done there?
I'm not saying that something has to be done, but at the same time, if I have something in my ward where I have a bad business owner who's creating havoc on my community, who's providing illegal substances in their store, who are providing expired meats in their store, who are selling cigarettes to minors, who are doing just all kind of illegal activity, I have a duty to make sure that I try to get that business out of my ward. And if it takes holding up a permit to get that person out of my ward that's creating havoc on my community, I don't want somebody from downtown taking that right from me, because the people in my community have elected me to represent the best interests of my community. So if you take that away, that means I don't have any jurisdiction over a bad business that's hurting my community, who's providing expired meats to kids because the meat has been expired, and they go and grind it up and make nachos out of it, and they sell meat with nachos on it, with expired meat that's, so those are the kind of things you deal with. You want to take that ability away from me to help protect my community? I don't think so.
You mentioned the pension crisis. You mentioned the budget crisis. Lori Lightfoot says that she's inheriting a much more dire situation than even she knew, and we knew it was pretty bad. Can a property tax increase be avoided?
Right now, I haven't seen the final numbers. I don't know the depth of the problem. I know she's been briefed on it, but we have not been briefed on the magnitude of the problem. But a property tax increase will be very, very hard in this climate with this council.
So then what?
Again, we have to look at other alternatives.
Like, what are they? Don't you owe it to her to come up with some your own?
Well, absolutely, and we're going to work with the administration to try to figure this whole thing out. There's a whole lot of avenues where I've tried to save hundreds of millions of dollars over the years in the city council, and haven't been able to, get those things to reality. But at the same time, we're going to work with the administration.
Like what? What do you recommend?
We all know that I've always talked about the police and fire issue as far as duty availability, uniform allowance, and the overtime that comes out of the police and fire and OEMC. There's a lot of fluff in that budget.
You think she should take on the extra pay that police and fire receive?
I think there's other avenues where we can do some cost savings without taking anything away from the officers.
Well, you said duty availability pay. That's a pay cut for them.
Well, again, it's not part of their pay. It is extra. And if we can provide those same amenities to the officers that are out here putting their lives on the line every single day without putting them at risk, I think we need to look at that. We have to look at everything. Everything is on the table. The amount of construction has gone up through the roof, where it's costing 3 and 4 times to get things built in this city. Something's wrong with that picture, and we need to figure out why is it costing us 3 times as much that it costs other states to build the same structures. we have to look at why are the cost of material so high? Why are we paying 3 and 4 times for material? So it's a lot of things that we need to look at where we can save a lot of money in this city.
What about on the revenue side? What ideas do you have there?
Well, everything is on the table, Fran.
All right, give me a couple of ideas that you would like to see her pursue.
Well, as far as a revenue stream,
Yeah.
I would like to see a tollway on the expressways. People coming in and out of the city, that are tearing up our roads every single day. They're
What are you talking about? A congestion fee?
a congestion fee.
A downtown congestion
no,
fee?
I think we need to put a tollway on our expressways. The Dan Ryan, the Bishop Ford, the Eisenhower, all those expressways I believe should have some type of tollway, because people are coming into the city, they're taking advantage of our streets, their police, our fire, and all the amenities that the city has to offer, and then they go back out to their respective suburban areas. So I think we need to look at a way to try to get some of that revenue that's creating havoc on, you've seen traffic in this city.
But those are state expressways.
Well, again, I think we can work something out with the state to where we can, as a city, can put a tollway in the city of Chicago to get revenue. And I think another big revenue stream that we need to look at is, I'm a huge fan. We deserve a Southside casino in the city of Chicago. We're working on plans to put a Southside casino on the south side of Chicago that I think will bring us between $400 to $500 million a year. That's another revenue stream that we need to look at. And there's some plans on the books where if we can get a license from Springfield, we can have a casino. We can hit the ground running. We can actually be in the ground with construction this fall.
Where are you talking about?
Well,
You're talking about where Rahm Emanuel wanted to put it, by Harborside Golf Course?
Well, there are 2 sites. There's one site in the 10th Ward and there's another site in the 9th Ward.
Where's the 9th Ward site?
Right off of 103rd and Woodlawn. So both of those have been presented to the mayor. The other site poses a little bit of a problem because it sits on Port Authority land. And of course, we know the port is going to want a piece of it, where the other one, the city can have it owned outright. And it's in an opportunity zone where we get federal relief. And so we get more revenue off of that. So we believe that is a great opportunity for the city of Chicago to be able to have a huge chunk of revenue to plug our pension problems that we're dealing with right now.
What's on that site right now?
Nothing but trees.
Okay. And what about ride sharing? We've seen this week, Uber is going public today, but meanwhile the drivers say we need to put a cap on it, we need to do all these other things. Mayor Lightfoot seems to be very, very much in favor of doing something to level the playing field. What should she do? Well,
we need to have the same rules and regs as rideshare as we do for the cab industry. And I've been fighting that fight for a long time, and I felt like I was on a sailboat by myself on that one. But at the same time, the cab industry has been hurt significantly. The cost of medallions has gone down from its peak from $360,000 to basically you can't give them away now. That's devastating that industry. And so those mortgages are in foreclosure. People have lost their houses. They've lost everything because of rideshare being able to come in and just do what they want to do. They operated 2 years in this city without any rules and regs. That's criminal. For 2 years, they've been able to hurt a business that's paying through the nose, and they were able to just come in and do what they needed.
Okay, so what should be done right
now?
Well,
we need to finally level.
How?
How? They need to be under the same scrutiny, the same rules and regs as the cab industry. There should be no difference. They're providing the same service, and for them to say they're not providing the same service is wrong.
Well, what are you talking about?
They're saying that they're not a cab industry.
No, I say, what are you talking about? Background checks, fingerprinting?
Background checks, fingerprinting, even the cost of the pool. I think we're only getting 50 cents now. We should be getting at least $1, maybe even $2 per ride off a ride share. And what people don't understand is ride share companies right now are taking advantage of people who are in dire need of employment. That's number one. Number two, they're not even paying those people minimum wage, Fran. That's a travesty in itself. So if they're not making a minimum wage, if their car breaks down, if they get a flat tire, their insurance goes up, the gas they have to put in their car, all of those things is on them. If their car breaks down, they're done. Uber and Lyft doesn't give them an opportunity to say, here's another car, you can keep making some money. So at the same time, once that industry is devastated, because they're the #1 funder right now in autonomous vehicles. Once autonomous vehicle takes off, those 20,000 people they say that they have that's driving right now under Uber and Lyft will be out of work, unemployed, And because their main goal is to have autonomous vehicles where they make 100% of the money and not have to rely on people to transport left and right.
Should there be a cap on licenses like New York
Absolutely,
has?
there needs to be a.
What should it be? How much?
Well,
how many
we're
licenses?
going to be looking at that. We're going to be
What,
looking
should it
at
be
how
this-
many drivers, how many cars can be on the street at any given time. There's no reason why you can have a person just turn the app on and start driving. You may have 25, 30,000 Uber or Lyft cars out at one time. Basically,
So what should it be lowered to?
well,
What should the cap be?
that's the number we need to look at. I don't know what that number is
Should
now.
it be the same as the number of medallions?
I don't know. I can't speak to what the number should be, but I guarantee you that I'm going to work with this administration to find out what that number should be, and we need to make sure that we put a cap on how many cars can be on the street at any given time.
Should there be a ban on out-of-state Uber and Lyft riders?
Well, again, I don't want to get into people making a living. If they want to come in, they have
Because
that
Lori
right.
Lightfoot has talked about that. Wisconsin, Indiana, all these people coming in, flooding our streets, causing traffic congestion.
Well, again, if they're paying a toll on the expressway, we're getting them coming in, right? And
So you don't think
we can get them
wouldn't
going
support
out.
that?
Well, again, I would look at everything. I'm very open, I'll welcome all ideas, but we need to do something.
And before we go, 6 socialists, are they going to be a big factor?
Well, I wish them well, and we're going to work together on, what's hopefully in the best interest of the city. And a lot of times when people come in, they, it's hard making that transition from an activist to being an elected official. So where an activist, you're used to throwing darts. When you're an elected official, you're catching the darts that are coming at you. And so now the darts are going to be coming at them, and so hopefully they see the error of their ways and they start seeing that, we need to work together for the betterment of this city.
Is that a nice way of saying shut up and listen?
I would never say that.
Anthony Beale, thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you all next week.